I'm so excited for tonight's show. So, my first guest is retired from a career in graphic design and public relations. She wears so many hats and she absolutely loves all of them. She's a daughter, a wife, a mother, and a grandmother, and an ALS advocate. Michelle has a very unique perspective on life surrounded by ALS. She's had over 75 family members who have passed or are currently battling ALS. You heard me correctly, over 75 family members. That list of relatives that she has lost to this disease feels completely endless, and it even includes her mother. Now, Michelle and her brother are currently battling ALS. So Michelle continues to advocate and fight for the generations of her family that have gone and for those that are continuing to follow. Here to share her story on life surrounded by ALS, please welcome Michelle Francis Bell.
Hi.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, I just had to say it again. You heard me telling you earlier, but you just look fabulous. And I just love this whole setup you have going.
Oh,
You are
thank you.
surrounded by sunshine, surrounded by light and sunflowers. And I love
Thank you. Thanks.
it. Well, people are jumping in to welcome you in. Now,
Oh, thank you.
of the many things that we have to talk about tonight, I'm sure that the first thing on absolutely everybody's mind, and they should be screaming out loud at the screen, because I have to say, we talked last week,
Yes.
and I am still I've yet to sort of pick my jaw up off the ground at this. Over 75 family members. So
Yes.
this is insane to me because the majority of ALS, so about 90%, is completely sporadic, which
Yes.
means there is no family connection. It hits anyone, anywhere, anytime.
Yes.
It is very rare to have familial ALS, and it is even more rare, I think, to have the extent that your family does with over 75 members. So what in the world, I don't even know how you put this into words, but what is it like to grow up in a family surrounded by ALS?
Wow. It's my reality. And even with it being surrounded by, ALS, people don't talk about it. You would think that if it's a familial ALS, that you would talk about it a lot, but it's really not. So it's almost like you have it, but it's hush hush. My one of my cousins, he came down with it like in the late 80s, around the same time my mother did, and he decided to research it more and research more about our family. So that's kind of how we got the genealogy part of it, and we were a part of Northwestern, a study. So that's how we know all the many members that have passed away with it or who have lived with it, but it's still not an extensive list because as far as I can go back, it's like 7 generations. My fourth great grandmother had it, and at least 2 or 3 of her kids did. I only have information from the one that's my straight line, my third great grandfather. So his sister, I'm sure she has as many people down her line that had it, but I don't know them. So I'm sure it's more. But I would say living with it in my family, it was there, but you didn't talk about it. It was like the elephant in the room. I would go to family get-togethers or family reunions. You'll see someone in a wheelchair, see someone, with the ventilator, see someone with a cane, but you didn't talk about it. It was just called the disease or the Taylor curse or something like that. So it was always over my head that it could happen to me, but it wasn't a reality that it could happen to me until my mother came down with it. And then it was a
And
50% chance.
and every generation, that surprised me. I think you said every single generation, at least one or more of
Yeah,
the kids have ALS. So it's not even skipping a generation. So there's a
it's not
50%
skipping.
shot.
Yeah, what has happened is there's only one person that I know of, maybe two, that the child developed ALS before the parent, but then shortly after the parent did. So one mother was 60 years old, her daughter was 40. Her daughter developed it and then the mother did.
Oh
But
my gosh.
by the mutation and how it's given, that it doesn't skip a generation. If you're, for instance, my mother, she has 3 siblings. She's the only one that has it. So her other siblings, their kids won't have it. It dies there, but it's
Okay.
her line that keeps on going. So with me and my brother, we both have it. It could have been neither one of us. It could have been
Yeah.
just one. It could have been both as it is.
Yeah.
If our kids don't have it, it's done on our line. But there's a whole long line. And there's still people like second cousins or third cousins that still have it. So it is a 50% chance if you have a parent with it. Right now, that I know of, there's 10 of us that are living with it now.
Oh
Um,
my
our kids
gosh.
are too young to kind of know or coming up to that
Okay.
age, but if none of them have it, then it's done with us. But the probability that that happens is very, very small.
Yeah. Actually, we have a question that popped up. Somebody wants to know, did you see any pattern in your family of when symptoms started, like at a certain age or a certain event? Good question.
Um, that is a good one. The pattern now, my father, he's not the one that has ALS. My mother was the one. But he's been through 3 generations of us. He helped care for my grandfather, my mother, and he's here for me. One thing he said is that it seems like the people that look alike develop it. Now, it's not supposedly a
Hmm.
connection with that, but it is genetic. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's something there, but most of the people in my family, they come down with it. It starts in their feet and their legs. There's a few that start in their arms. So mostly it's a limp. Mostly it's being very tired and it's a balance issue. Those are the main things that kind of give you that. No longer being able to stand on your tippy toes. My mother used to do aerobics and then she started
Oh,
falling or couldn't do some of those things. That was her
okay.
symptom. And mine was the leg cramps. Really, honestly, I thought that I had something dealing with those Skechers. I don't know if you remember those Skechers tennis shoes that's supposed to pump up
Yeah.
your butt. So I
Yeah.
was wearing those,
No.
and then it comes to find out that that causes problems with legs. So I thought, oh gosh, I'm one of those that had the problems with the legs, but it was
Okay.
ALS.
It was AL. Darn it. Of all the times you wanted to be the Skechers causing your problems, you
Yep.
know?
So, but that I
Well,
would say the balance and the tired and then leg issues.
okay, is where it kind of starts. Well,
Hmm.
how did you, seeing all of this firsthand and sort of really understanding as you were saying, sort of as you look at it, the curse in your family or sort of what you guys are having to deal with this connection to ALS, how do you think that shaped you as you've grown up surrounded by
Wow.
this?
I you know, that's I don't know. I think one way I wish it would have shaped me that I wish I could go back a little bit is to take more risk. My brother, he took more risk as he was younger. Like he did rock climbing, he did all of these things because for him, that could be a possibility in his mind. He said he was going to do the things he wanted to do. I was kind of in denial. In our family, it usually develops in your early 30s. Mine developed when I was 48. So I thought I got over that hump. And so I didn't do a lot of the things that I wish I should have done. But it shapes you because it just lets you know that there's a lot of things you just can't control. No matter what you do, it just gave me that feeling that if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and I don't have control of it, and the sad thing is there's no cure for it, so if it happens,
Yeah.
it's something I'm gonna have to learn how to deal with and cope with
Mm.
and live with.
Well, you kind of mentioned age-wise, because actually Kevin chimed in wanting to know if there was sort of an age when you can feel the relief. And when we had talked on the phone, I
Yeah,
found that really interesting. And you just sort of said it now. You felt like it's not me, that I made
yeah,
it, and that most people in your family, it happened to maybe in the 30s, and you got to
mhm,
your 40s, and I feel you had that sigh of relief, like, haha, I made it
yeah,
through. I'm not going to get it. And then
I did,
unfortunately, you did 2019.
mhm,
So how did that, maybe your brother was already kind of living life and like jumping at everything.
mhm,
You were maybe not quite there yet. Now you know for sure you have
mhm.
this. How did that shift your life perspectives?
Oh, it shifted a lot. One is, you feel guilt sometime too. And the way I say I felt guilt because I thought I was past that. So I got married in 2017. So shortly after being married, I come down with the diagnosis, and I and my husband knew all about this in my family, but I felt like I was past that point. So I kind of felt that guilt. I also felt like I have to choose joy. I talked to one of my aunts, and we were talking about what we're going to do this year, and mine was I have to choose joy because that's one of the things I can control in this that other things I can't. So my perspective was I have to find some happiness or some joy or something in this while this is incurable and while it's progressive and while this is a big reality in my family. If I can't do that, and if I can't hold on to the faith and I can't hold on to that, then it's kind of hopeless. So that's how it's changed my perspective. The sad thing about this is, if you can remember, the COVID thing started like, or when everything shut down was like March 2020, what,
I think
20?
20 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was diagnosed in June 2019. So I had thought about all this traveling, everything I'm going to do, because I've seen this
No.
in my family. I know how it progresses. So I was like, the next few years, I'm
Oh,
going to do this and that. But then everything closed. And so my fear was, "Well, how am I going to be once this opens up?" Because I know it doesn't stop. And so since I've been diagnosed in the 3 years, I'm mostly in a walker or a wheelchair now. So that was a big change. So some of those things I wanted to do, I didn't, but I still try to choose life and choose joy.
choose joy. I'm so in awe of you and just everyone we've had on the show that you're faced with all of this and that you still have the smile on your face. You still have this, as you say, ability to choose joy because it sounds easy, but that's not. It's not
It's
easy. So
it's
I don't know
not.
how you do it.
Well, I know before when I was younger and I thought I passed this, I felt like, okay, is it worse to have a disease that affects your health, physical health, or your mind? And I always thought, well, okay, maybe I'm not going to get ALS because I'm dealing with so many other things in my life. I can't handle it. But that didn't happen. So I think regardless of what it is, it affects you all. It's holistic. So it affects me physically and mentally too. And if I can work on that mental part, maybe I'll be a little better with the physical because I really can't do a whole bunch with that right
Well, I
now.
love your attitude and I love your outlook and I love your positive vibe because it really is infectious. I just enjoy
Thank
talking
you.
to you. You make me happy. You
Oh,
sure do. You have that
oh,
effect.
oh gosh. Well, one of the things about choosing joy, I wear a lot of colors now. And I don't know if you see all my bracelets. I wear colorful
Ah!
bracelets and clothes and whatever, because for me, that's one portion of joy. Like when I wake up, I don't know what function I may not have, if I'll be able to walk, but I just get joy every morning picking out just what bracelet I might wear. And I know that's silly and that's small, but you just have to find something
Yeah.
that keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that it can be something as small and meaningful though as putting on a beautiful bracelet and that's your light for the day. I think that's incredible. I think we can all use a little bit more of those reminders in life when things get a little bit too crazy and hectic. Bring it back to that. Bring it back
Yeah,
to just as you say, find the joy.
have to choose it.
There
Yeah.
yeah, choose it. There's joy in everything. We just have to look for it and find it. Now, we're on this happy note, all this joy and happy. I'm about to bring us down a little bit,
That's
but
fine.
it stuck with me when we were talking on the phone, and you were talking about your memories of your grandpa.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I just feel like this is always going to stick in my head that you little when you were little and you didn't understand really the capacity of
Mhm,
ALS. You just knew your grandpa as, he couldn't walk, he couldn't move. So as a
mhm,
kid, that wasn't the most fun and exciting to
mm-mm,
be around. And that's the way you knew him. So it struck me when you said, as you grew older and sort of understood what ALS was, it hit you, oh my gosh, these memories I have with him, this is the only thing I've known. These were my memories. Is my family going to remember me like that? And that,
right.
I don't know, that hit me like a ton of bricks. So where's your head at with all of that? And then on the happy side, I think at this moment, what do you think your family would describe you as now?
Okay, as far as going to the first part, That is very hard for me. That's all I remember my grandfather in, and even little pictures, like when I was 2, he had the leg brace. So what I can really remember is him being in a chair with the trach, a ventilator. My mother have to suction him, and he can just sit in the chair. At times, we have to, move his hands for him or scratch him or whatever. So it's sad, but now I think about it as a kid, I did not enjoy going over there. I felt like, "Oh, we just have to sit here. Granddad can't do anything." And so I feel bad now because I have 3 grandkids and not gonna cry, but, I don't want that to be their memory of me. So, that is a hard one because, like, now I get on the floor with them, I play with them or whatever, but that may not be the reality, in a year or 2 if there's not some cure or nothing like that. So, I don't want them to have those memories. I have those memories, my grandfather, I loved them very much, but going over there was more of a chore. And that's why as a caregiver, and I think it's a unique aspect, not only do I have ALS, but I was a caregiver, and I
Yeah.
understand the hard parts of that. Even when I was caring for my mother, there would be times I have to move into the other room and cry because you see what they're going through, but you can't help it. But you can't cry in front of them because they're already dealing with what they're dealing with, but you deal with it too. So I understand that aspect of it, being a kid that had to deal with it and help take care, to be an adult taking care of a kid, and now having other people have to take care of me. I don't want that at all.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that for them. I didn't see my mother as a burden, but I also know as a caregiver, it puts a lot on you too, a lot of hurt to see that. So I don't want that for my family. Um, Being with familial ALS is harder because you want to talk about it and you want to give them information, but you don't want to give them so much information where it's just over their head that I might get it or somebody else in our family that we love may get it. So I don't know exactly how they see me. I think, and this is the other hard part, I think sometimes they don't understand or realize how much it has affected me, partly because I may not show it or say it, and I may not explain everything that comes with it. So I think sometimes they still see me as the same person that could handle everything and do everything like I did before. I want that, but in some aspects, I want also to recognize that I am going through changes right now.
Got me a little.
I'm sorry.
I know this is good. It hits, and this is so important. And I've said it to you a bunch. This is why we are here. This is why this show is so important. This is why what you're everything you're doing to share your story is so important, so that families don't have to go through this. We don't have to sit here and worry about, you know, what function you're going to lose tomorrow, or if you're going to be able to get on the floor and play with your grandbabies next year. This is
Yeah.
not, there are too many other things in the world to deal with. This should not be one of them. So this is so important what we are doing, and every dollar raised, every step we get closer is so important, so that we can put an end to this, so that you don't have to go through this. It's just a little reminder hearing you say those things. Gosh, well, I think that they would describe you as an absolute sunshine. I think the sunflower behind you is the absolute perfect description for all of the reasons. Because you said that you even loved sunflowers before this. So now this has
Yes.
taken
Yeah.
on
A
just a
whole
whole
different
new
meaning.
meaning, a whole
Yeah.
different meaning. But you are just like that. You are strong, and you are part of a community, and you are beautiful and this ray of sunshine. So that is exactly how I would describe you. I have a feeling
Thank
they would
you.
agree with me.
Thank you.
Now, speaking of all of this heaviness, did you ever want, because so you know that this is in your family, you know what
Mhm.
your odds are, you're
Yeah.
battling a 50% chance. Now there is a test now. We don't know a ton about ALS, but
Mhm.
we do know about some of the mutated genes, and there is a test that identifies that. Did it ever cross your mind? Did you ever think, man, I want to take this test. I want to know.
Yes, it did. And as I was saying before about my cousin that found out a lot about our family, he was instrumental in finding out about the SOD1 mutation. And so he was at Northwestern. And so he found all of us, and they sent us some vials to, go to your doctor, get blood drawn, have it sent to us, and we can
Yeah.
tell you if you have it or not. And they were using it more to see of the people who have the mutation that do not have ALS and those who develop ALS and all of this. So kind of did a study on us. So I really wanted to take that. But my mother was still alive, and my mother told me and my brother not to do it because she didn't want to know if she gave it to us. So, the one thing in my family, for most of the people in our family, is that it's a blessing, I guess, in a sense, is that the parent dies before they see the symptoms in their children most of the time. My mother died before 50, her father before 50, his father a little later, but then his father's mother, was earlier. So sometimes they don't see it. And so my mother didn't want to know if she passed it to us. So after that, I just didn't do it. And I just kept on living like, well, I'm not going to have it, or it's not going to happen, or nothing has showed up. Um, I I don't know if I wish I would have done it or not. My kids have the option to, and I've told them either way that they want to go, they can go. I can see plus and minuses with that, especially if you're planning for a family. It may be good before you have kids or something like
Mhm.
that. But if you have the mutation, mind over matter sometimes, even though you have it, you don't necessarily have to come down with it because there's
Yeah.
other triggers they don't know about and why people do it, but you have a very high risk. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that to be on their heads where now every moment is, ALS. I might have ALS.
Yeah.
But a part of me kind of wish I did. And I would just say this plugger for anyone that has ALS in their family. If you do get the test, please get life insurance first, or up your life insurance, or
Uh,
renew it higher. I have term and it's not
yeah.
over, but when it is over, I won't be able to get anymore. So if I outlive my term, that's just
Oh,
it. So, and that's one of the questions they ask: have you had a test for this, or have you seen a doctor for something other than a cold in the last 2 years? Well, if you take a genetic test, yeah, you have, and then they're going to ask for what, and then you have to tell them, and then you're not going to be able to get it,
okay.
or at least at a lower premium. So, um, if you do get the test, or I would say get some of your things in order just in case, because it's going to be harder afterwards, even if you don't come
Mm.
down with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a huge decision. You said I don't even know where you even begin with that. But I think even though that you didn't have the test, though, I feel like you still had that moment of going through your life where you were wondering, is this ALS? Is this
Oh
ALS?
yeah,
Sort of, it was still surrounding you anyway.
yeah. I have an aunt that she's not in the bloodline of it, where her father wasn't the one that had ALS, but she had like cramps in her hands at one time and thought she had it. It's just so much, even though you might not. It's just everything you're thinking, okay, is this it? Is this it?
Yeah.
And then you feel that guilt because not only are you happy you don't have it, but you feel sad that someone else does. Why didn't it happen to me? Or why did it
Okay.
happen to that person? So when it's familial, it has a lot of different dynamics to it.
Yeah. What has helped you with, because this is a lot. We've just unpacked a lot of these things, all these feelings and all the things that you're dealing with, and it's just so much. How do you help sort through all of that and sort of, I guess, at the base level, just keep your sanity and keep going through all of
Um,
this?
gosh, one is definitely my faith. So I have to believe that there's a reason for this. I don't know it. I don't see it. I don't understand why. But since I'm going through it, I'm going to have to figure out a way to live with it. Um, Not, as some people say, not die with it or die from it, but live with it, because that's what I have to do. I'm not afraid of death. And I think most people probably, I don't know if most people are or not. My thing is more of living and losing the functionality that I saw. And depending on if you try to do the VIN, or depending on what you decide to do, it can be a very painful, disease where you lose a lot. So I think my faith has kept me. It gives me strength. It helps me know, like, grace is sufficient. Anything I could go through, I can make it. Not saying it's not going to hurt, because it hurts every day. And so I don't want to be like, oh, I'm this super. No, I'm not. It hurts, but that helps me. Routine helps me, kind of having a purpose. I just got on disability in March, just decided now it's time. I just need to stop working. Can't really do my job like I used to. And still a routine or a purpose or a reason to live keeps me going. I like the genealogy, so I've been doing a lot of that with my family, and it's just having some purpose helps outside of
Well,
ALS.
you found your way to us, and we are so happy. That
Thank
is
you.
one purpose that we love and adore, that you're here advocating and sharing your story. So, what has the ALS Association meant to you?
Everything. I've been connected with them on I think almost every level. When I got my diagnosis, I reconnect with one of my extended cousin that also has ALS, and we live in the same city. And so he told me about Peggy, that was the care service person that he works with. And so I don't remember how I got connected. I don't know if I called her, she called me, if my doctor referred, I don't know. But it had to be earlier on because the walk was in September. I was diagnosed in June. So I did a walk the first year. So the things I have been a part of is definitely the walks. This year would be my fourth one. um, the care service, even through COVID, which was very challenging. I couldn't have a home visit. So I would, my husband would hold the laptop and walk around the house, or we'd talk, to see
Oh,
stuff, or I did. Um, I've also done the lending, I guess, closet. They've helped me with the walker, with bars for the toilet and stuff like that. I'm a part of two support groups, the familial ALS and then the regular ALS one for Northern Illinois. And I'm going to be doing advocacy tomorrow. And I don't know if I missed anything else, but I've been connected on many different levels. I was in the newsletter before, and it's just been a part of helping me.
yeah, it's just well, and you brought up the support groups, because I think it's really beautiful that this service is offered. So, what would you say is the best part of support group?
And thank you, Lamar. I just saw my brother.
Oh, yes, let's give a shout out to him too.
Yeah.
Amazing. You
Um,
said you're not a superhero. I think
no,
you
he is a
absolutely are. So you both. So superhero and superhero brother, thank you for tuning in. We're sending you lots of love.
I think the support groups, what I like most about the support groups is that you can talk about it. And like I said, with familial ALS, even in your family, you think you would talk about it and you don't. And like I said, I feel the guilt because it's always been in my family, but until I got diagnosed with it, I really wasn't a huge advocate. I don't know if I was in denial. I don't know if I think about it, then yes, it's going to happen. I don't know what the reason was, but the one thing is about the support group, it's a safe place to talk about ALS and to talk about other things. We laugh about a lot of other things. We are always on a tangent to something else, but it's a safe place to talk about it because you have to understand this affects everyone around you. And for your loved one that never knew that this was going to happen, or, had plans for your life and now things are different, they may not want to deal with it. So this is a place, where you can feel free and you can
Oh,
and talk about it. So that's what I like more about the support groups.
I love this. Peggy chimed in, one of our
Oh,
care services,
I
saying
love
that your
Peggy.
openness, she's the greatest, that your openness
Yeah,
about your story and experience have taught her so much. Peggy,
thank
I second
you.
that notion. And I will have to say, another one of the things I admire a ton about you is that openness. Because when we talked on the phone, I think I was, as I said, still so shocked about the extent of ALS in your family. I was hitting you with so many questions on the phone. I mean, I was getting personal. Why know how did you
Oh.
decide? Did you want to have kids? Did you not? Why did you make? I mean, I was hitting you with everything, and you just had this. You said right off the bat, nothing's off limits. I will
Nothing.
talk about anything, and I think that is this is hard. This is hard stuff to talk about, and to put your personal life and your family life out in the open when it's such a difficult topic. I just applaud you again, because you're so open and you just want to help. You want to raise awareness, you want to advocate, and you want to share your story so it can help other people. And I think that's absolutely incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're a rock star. People, I don't know if you've been seeing these comments, but people have been chiming in about what a great interview it is, that you're
Oh,
such a strong lady, that you are so beautiful, and how beautiful you are in the inside and out, and what an amazing woman. I mean, the comments are just going crazy for you. So I
oh,
love
thank
that
you.
they're all seeing that too.
Thanks.
Now, you brought up yourself the fact that this is about to be your fourth walk, and I
Mhm.
know that you are walking with our team this year, with the chapter
Yes.
team, but I would not be able to continue on if we didn't talk about this because I am absolutely in love with the name of your
Oh,
team. So for the previous 3 years, you did walk with your team called Getting on My Nerves.
yes.
So let's talk about your walk experiences.
Oh, that is the first year.
Oh, here we go.
That is
There
the
is some
first year.
walk.
Yes, that was my team, and I'm up there right in the top, I guess, right-hand corner with the purple, little thing on and glasses.
Love it.
But it was my team, my kids are there, my grandkids, my brother, he's in the chair right there, and, his family. This first year, it was amazing. The first year I could walk, my brother gave me a cane to help me around it a little bit, but I was walking. It was a storm that day. I mean, our tent kind of flew across the thing. We had two people holding it on different ends, but it was amazing. It was right before COVID, so we were able to get together with other teams. Um, but the next year we had to do it separately. So the next year we did a walk at a park not far from my home, and then we did the picnic part at my home. We played bingo, we had games. The last person probably left around 1:30 that morning or the
Ooh.
next day. So it ended up being a party. It ended up being a party, not ALS, but it was a party. Um,
Oh.
and I think it was kind of because of COVID too, and that was the first time people really were able to get around each other. And the next year we had the picnic part and the walk at the same place. But last year I was in a portable, or not a portable, but electrical wheelchair. And so every year I love the walk. It's good, but the sad thing about it is every year I can see my progression. And so the first year I was actually able to do everything myself. The last year my aunt really helped a lot with putting the food together and doing all that, and people had to help set up. So I decided
Okay.
this year, with everything just going on in our personal family and stuff, and I was just gonna, and because I would have to have a lot of help, I was just going to walk with the team. So I still want to
Okay.
participate, but I have to realize that my participation is a little different. I mean, we even had fun. We had like a Family Feud ALS. Just my cousin did it, and we had questions like, "What parts of your body usually are affected first with ALS?" Or who in our family had it, ALS and all that. And it was fun. We had fun out of it, but tried to make it as light as possible. Music, fun,
Yeah.
foods, and we raised money and awareness.
I love that. All the things, having fun while doing some great things to raise awareness. But I heard that you have a really special way that you start off each walk. What is
Yeah.
that?
Oh, that is my roll call. And I even had to talk to Peggy about this one too, because I didn't want it to be sad, but I felt like I needed to recognize the people that we are walking for. So
Yeah.
at the beginning of it, I have like that sunflower back there is there. Actually, last year I had my grandchildren, they had little confetti that was shaped like sunflowers. So as I
Oh,
read the names of the family members who have it now and the long list of names of the family members who've had it before, they would throw that out. And then I would have like a table maybe with pictures if people wanted to see. That was the most I did. I didn't want it to be sad, but I did want them to even be aware because this is on one side of my family and one side of my mother's family. I have many sides of my family and friends that I wanted them all to kind of know who we're really walking for and really
mhm.
give names. And the list I had probably was like 50 or something then because I don't know all of them. But I would read the list and that's how it would start. And I'm like, so we're walking in honor or in memory of these people.
It's a beautiful way to remember the why. I
Yeah.
think that's really special. Wow. I feel like we have so much to talk about. We could dive into so many things. I'm just so intrigued by your story. And Peggy chimed in that also your family's pretty competitive when you play games.
She
I
was
guess
a
that,
judge. She was
oh, Peggy.
and
Peggy, how was that? Tell us.
they they didn't give her any slack. So
Oh,
she was a judge for the Family Feud, one of the judges. So she was like, "Your family is competitive." I said, "Oh yeah, they are." They mean no, that because how in Family Feud you can have a judge and they can say, "Oh no, that's
yeah.
close to it." So if something they felt was close or not, yeah, they gave it to her.
Tough crowd, she says. That's how it was. Okay, so Family Feud and Catchphrase are two of my absolute favorite games ever. So please let me know when you're playing. I just want to witness this. I want to
Okay,
see this family of yours going head to head in the
it was
Family
fun.
Feud. So entertaining. Well, you guys sound like such a blast.